Okay, today we're doing the game Trap Runner from 2018, which is one of my favorite Amiga games. I just love the controls so much. It controls perfectly. It was made by the brothers Frank and Jarrett Willie, who have a lot of great OCS, ECS Amiga games, like Celtic Heart and this one and its sequel, Trap Runner Black Strawberry Cake, and their first one, Solid Gold, which came out in 2013 and which I give a lot of credit to reigniting the homebrew scene on the Amiga, which is very healthy to this day. I think last year over 60 games came out, so thank you. So if you haven't seen it before, here it is running. It's a great looking platformer, and like I said, great playability. And the greatest thing is that it has everything you'd want in a commercial quality game, yet it's free. With the palette visualizer, you can see it's 32 colors, so 5-bit planes. Here's bit plane 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And if we take all those bit planes off, then we just get the sprites. And with the sprite visualizer, you can see that the mountains are made up of attached 0, 1, attached 2, 3, attached 4, 5, and attached 6, 7. And then they just repeat for the rest of the screen. Then up here, you've got attached 2 and 3. Down here, attached 0, 1, and attached 6, 7. And then over here, attached 2, 3, attached 0, 1, and attached 4, 5. One thing you'll notice if I just put on Sprite 0 is that it's just three colors, the brown, the greenish gray, and the gray. This gray here smartly merges with the copper bar. So when you have all the sprites on, it looks like a whole mountain range, but it's really just this tall. So you might wonder why, if it's only three colors, why he's using an attached sprite, which allows for 15 colors. Well, I actually learned this from Frank, the coder himself, when I was asking him about another game he made called Squirts. So the reason he uses the attached sprites instead of unattached is because it's 32 colors. And with 32 colors, the second half of the palette, so this half here, are the sprite colors. And if you have just a 16 color game, then all the sprite colors are independent. But with a 32 color game, this half of the palette can be used for everything in the level. So because it's four sprites that are repeated across the screen, and they all use the same three colors, then it would take up a whole bunch of palette slots in this side of the palette. So right now, I think it's these three colors here, this one, and this one, that make up the mountains, but that's just one sprite. So if you had another sprite, you'd have to repeat these same colors again. So the gray, the green, and the brown here, and then it would be gray, green, and brown again, and gray, green, and brown again. So with all those duplicates, it would then be impossible to have all these other colors that you can use anywhere in the level. So instead, he makes it a 16 color sprite, so then it can access any of these colors and you don't have to repeat them. Another interesting thing about the sprites is that if you look here, the visible area is 320 by 256, so the entire full PAL screen. And with 320 width, that usually takes away the use of some of the sprites, and yet it uses all of the sprites. So what I think he's done by looking at the copper visualizer is that he's manually put the sprites in with the copper, which is something you can do. I think Jim Power also does it. So here you've got sprite 0 position, sprite 2 position, 4 and 6, and then it repeats 0, 2, 4, and 6. So over here is unique, and sprite 6, which I think you would lose with the 320 resolution, you usually lose sprite 6 and 7. But the copper here is writing sprite 6 data A and sprite 6 data B. So I'm pretty sure this had to be manually done to get all these sprites. Hopefully, if Frank sees this, he can let me know if I'm wrong and make any corrections. So my guess is that even though it says attach 6 and 7, that you only have to write in with the copper sprite 6 because you're not actually using sprite 7, you're just using it for the palette of 16 colors. You can see the game is 50 frames per second with the scrolling and also with the enemies. If I do it frame by frame here, you can see all the enemies move every frame. So here's frame, 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 frame. So all the main things are at 50 frames per second, but some of the secondary, like these collectibles, only update every fifth frame. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I was just comparing that today to the rings in the first Sonic the Hedgehog on the Mega Drive, and they actually update every eighth frame. So, fun fact. If you put on the blitter visualizer, you can see that you're being blit, your character, and the enemies are being blit, and the collectibles, and the top of the water, the animated water. And when you scroll, you can see the tiles come in on the sides. One interesting thing about the blitz is that if you look at this enemy here, when he goes behind the rock, he disappears. So it must be masked. And also with my character, if I go behind the rock, I also disappear. So it must be a masked blitz because I'm not a sprite. Speaking of sprites again, I forgot to mention that when you jump out of the screen, there's a little handy arrow there that shows you where you are. So if you pause it and put on the sprite visualizer, you can see that it's sprite 5. So the second desert level has the screen set up in a similar way. So without the bit planes, we've got these rocks as sprites again, repeated across the screen, but just using the 3 colors that again can be seen as the first 3 colors and the second half of the 32 color palette. And just like in the first level, there's a copper sky on color 0 that changes all the way down in the green here. So what I love about the controls is that they're so precise. When you jump, you can land pixel perfect because you can move in the air. So it's kind of like Turrican or Gianna Sisters. To me, they really nailed the precision to a T. There's also some jetpack bonus levels that are really hard to master. Boom, made it. So this is a great game. I recommend you checking it out if you like platform games. On the Amiga, there's almost like a little subgenre of like homebrew, cool little platform games like this that have kind of a small character and a big screen. So all the Frank and Jarrett games, and then there's like the Box series, Box 1, 2, 3, 4, and Minky and Tiny Pixel Adventure. So I love all those games. I think they're really fun. So as I was saying, this game has pretty much everything you could expect from a commercial release. It's got full PAL screen, it's got 32 colors, it's got 50 frames per second, and it's great fun. And it's all free. So you gotta love that. So thanks so much for watching. Always appreciate it. Please like and subscribe and comment if you haven't yet. Have a great day. Take care.